Hey, what is going on, guys? We're going to be looking at a number of events that are currently going on in the Atlantic Ocean, see how models show with these disturbances, as well as going over some of the U.S. weather we could be seeing over the next few days or so. Yeah, let's get right into that in today's video. Looking at our hurricane outlook for the next 5 days. So our first disturbance, which is going to be right here, and we do see it has a 60% chance of forming into at least a tropical depression over the next 2 days, while it has an 80% chance over the next 5 days. So we do see a tropical depression at least could be likely with a storm, perhaps even a named storm. It could even be Danielle, but another that could potentially reach that before the first disturbance here is going to be this one here, that's all the way up in north central tropical Atlantic, with a 70% chance of development over the next couple days, while versus the 80% of the next 5 days. Like, say, a tropical or even a subtropical depression with this system. Now, looking at a lower chance disturbance here in the eastern tropical Atlantic, it has a 40% chance of development over the next 2 days, while over the next 5 days it has a 50% chance. So yeah, eventually later this week it is gonna. So there's really not much of a window at this point that we could see anything come out of this disturbance here, as environmental conditions will eventually deteriorate, not allowing for really further development of this system after that time. So now it brings us the models here, which we will look at along with the invest and see how the models really treat this system as a whole and all the other at the radar, which will dictate where these tropical disturbances potentially could go. So looking at the GFS here up to the next week so. Okay, so this is about 6 days out. We see there are potentially hurricanes that are swirling across the Atlantic. So we go back to the week mark and we see the same thing here. This could deepen quite a bit, but we're going to look at other models too just to see how they're going with these and to get an overall conclusion. But spoiler, it's also mostly going to be dealing with possible hurricanes as well, at least with one of the disturbances. So get yourselves prepared, guys. We'll be looking at them. Looking at the latest GEM model here, we could be looking at the tropical cyclones here. We could see this one could potentially become a hurricane as it heads north. But it will weaken with time, and as it heads towards the cooler waters of the far North Atlantic. Gonna be looking at, okay, so this is about the week mark though. So we could see peaking right about day 6, 7 or so. So right about day 6. So that would be about next Tuesday or so. This swim with the more southern tropical disturbance here, which will be originating between not too far from the Leeward Islands. It's not gonna do a lot though, unfortunately or fortunately. And it seems to like fizzle itself out before doing much. It might continue to try as we do see that, but this is about a while out, so a lot is going to change. Same thing here with this fantasy hurricane, even though this isn't the GFS. So now we're going to be looking at another model we'll call the European model. We're going to see a really slow-moving tropical storm, at least according to this model, that will slowly gain its strength over time, possibly become a Category 1 hurricane at least. And we're talking about the one that's all the way up here, by the way, you could obviously tell. Again, the European model continues to show not much in the way for this one that's been passing north and east of the leewards as of right now. And that same thing here that the Canadian model has also been showing, which we just recently looked at. Again, we're going to see some random movement eventually popping out. We're going to see it be pulled to the northeast about a week away. And so because models are consistently showing we'll see possibly a hurricane with this, I'm definitely going to have to say we'll probably see a hurricane or so. And we'll probably see Danielle and possibly Earl being used over the next week as the Atlantic does just start to wake up and come to life. So we're going to be monitoring the progress of these systems and we could possibly see another disturbance next week emerge from Western Africa. And this is the same thing that another model has been showing, but after about 9-10 days or so, we're really starting to get into fantasy land. So we don't want to get too confident in things quite just yet over here. Last model before we head on to our US forecast, the Icon model. we're going to be watching these systems, and again, the same thing here with at least this one, but and then this one also actually shows some strengthening going on with this one down here, passing just north of the islands. Oh wow, they're both getting pretty deep, pretty strong really, according to this model. And this one could potentially go all over the place. I'm not really sure what to say here, because this is also the same thing that the GF is showing for both of these. So overall, I'm thinking this system will be by far the most likely to achieve hurricane status, and I think this will be the first to get the Danielle name as well. And this one will probably end up being named Earl if we do get a tropical storm out of this at least, which is certainly possible, but the rest of the models are showing more of a weak tropical storm, as you probably saw, unless you just skipped to this part of the video. Again, any U.S. pain impacts are really unlikely at this point, and I'm pretty sure this was a pretty fraught to see that everything will be spared from anywhere even near the U.S. coast. So you guys are safe for now. But again, we're probably gonna see hurricane with this disturbance. I'm not sure about this one though. But again, going to the U.S. weather forecast now. Let's see how things are shaping up over. So one I have note here, we're going to be looking at what could be a heat wave. And as we do see that right now, according to this model here, GFS, we could be seeing a plains heat wave. We're going to be seeing a heat wave that's going to start in the plains tomorrow. And we're going to be seeing some of that really going on southwest tomorrow. Now, even though meteorological fall is about to arrive, it sure isn't going to feel like that for a while across much of the country. As we're going to be dealing with some more of that summer heat. We could be seeing triple digits in some of the planes for a little bit. And as we do see that heat wave is really going to continue across the rest of this week and perhaps into next week as well. And it might even stick around like this for quite a while as we're looking at the models with not much relief for really until at least 10 days out. We could see that front, but of course, all that's going to change. We could end up seeing this here for really the first half of September, and that cold's really not going to kick in for a while. So there's always plenty of outcomes that's going to be possible with all this in mind. Now, it's really just a thought take in mind here, as we could be dealing with this heat wave for quite a while, and that could really delay and even possibly mute those fall colors that we could be seeing later on, as we're starting to get into a really important time for weather that determines all that, as we're speaking here. So now looking at the radar over the next while or so, we could be seeing round storms popping up across South Plains and other places as well. That will mostly be during the day, but we could see some of that activity lingering on tonight, especially when it comes down to systems bringing widespread rain to specific areas, say. Texas could see some much needed rain over the weekend, and we'll probably see some of that really continue from now until then at least. So yeah, South is really going to get wet for a while most of the West and North will continue to remain dry for the time being. Again, we're going to see quite a bit of rain across the region over the next week or so. Texas will end up getting dry again eventually, probably like the next week or so. It could be less, could be more. But again, I'm going to say most of that rain is going to focus across the east and north, with the south and with the west and north really ending up more dry than say east-south, where again, like I said, we'll probably see more rain there than the rest of the country. And we do see that here with most of that region really remaining dry and free of rain over the next week. And that could really worsen the drought out west. And there's only hope we could get stuff up there during the fall and winter months. But again, weather is what it is, and 22 is what it is. But again, we're going to see that rain continue to focus across those general areas. Again, a lot's going to change here, but we could see stuff about a week out. I don't really know about this, because it's like 1 week out, and yeah, a lot's going to change, especially when it comes down to this kind of weather. But again, we're going to look at rainfall amounts too and see what we could amount to. Yeah, you see that clear bias between the northwest, southeast halves country. where most of the west and the northern tier ends up mainly dry, while the south and east portions of the country will end up getting quite wet. And some of those areas we could see 2 and even upwards of 3, possibly even more than that, across some of these areas over the next week. And again, we could even see some more flash flooding events while we're at it. But I'm only saying this from my perspective. I don't think we'll be getting any historic flooding events next week or so. We could see heavy rain repeatedly, and we could see some flooding issues across some of the regions to the south. Further up here in the North Great Lakes, we could see just some light rainfall amounts. Not a lot, though, up to an inch, half inch, something like that. In Northeast here, it depends on where you are. If you're like up here in the New England region, not too much is coming your way. But if you're like down here, we could potentially see 1-2 inches of rain, depending on how things evolve over the next week or so. But really, other than that, most of the West is going to be staying dry, most likely scenario, over the next week or so. So there's that for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll continue to forecasts like these, and whenever anything comes up, coverage will probably be there as well in terms of live streaming. So every now and then we might post videos. If there's really anything to talk about, even if it's just some kind of hurricane sitting out in the middle of the ocean, like today's video basically is. So yeah, we'll do more of these. Stay safe. Have a good day. We'll see when we can get a new video up other than today, and hopefully it's the next few days or so, possibly as soon as Friday. But that really depends on how things evolve. But again, stay safe.